Hello from the courthouse in Santa Maria in California, and welcome to our special reconstructions of the Michael Jackson trial. The parts are played by actors, but the words are from the actual transcripts of the proceedings. Jurors have heard graphic evidence from the brother of Gavin Arvizo, the boy who Jackson is said to have abused. Star Arvizo, now 14, is key to the prosecution's case because he's the main witness to have seen the alleged acts of molestation by the pop star. But first, there was more from the boy's sister, 18-year-old Davelyn. Thomas Mesereau, Jackson's lawyer, stepped up his cross-examination of her. He began by asking about a shopping trip with Jackson.
And you testified that Mr. Jackson took you and your brothers and some fans to Toys R Us, right?
Yes.
Do you know approximately when that was?
I don't remember when.
And you did say that on the way, Mr. Jackson saw some fans and picked them up. And you all went to Toys R Us together, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Jackson paid for toys for everybody, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall anybody ever complaining that they were being falsely imprisoned at Toys R Us?
No.
Do you recall anybody complaining that they were there against their will at Toys R Us?
No.
The issue at stake in this trial is the truthfulness of the Arvizo family. Mr. Mesereau says they concocted the molestation claims against Michael Jackson as a scam to get huge damages from him. So once again, he went on the attack, trying to undermine the girl's testimony.
Okay, now, you also told the jury last week you have no knowledge of Gavin having disciplinary problems at school before he ever met Mr. Jackson, right?
I know he talked a lot, yes.
Well, that's what you said. The only problem you were aware of is that he was talkative, correct?
Yes.
You also said you were asked by me, to your knowledge, was he ever asked to leave school? And you said you don't know, right?
No, I don't remember.
Well, you sat there in Gavin's deposition in the J.C. Penney case where he admitted that he got in lots of fights and got thrown out of school, right? You were sitting right there, right?
He's never been thrown out of school.
Well, you heard him say it under oath, didn't you?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago. All I remember, I was in my grandmother's house, and I was holding his hand, and they were taping the deposition. That's all I remember.
Mr. Mesereau returned to his portrayal of the Arvizo family as gold diggers when he questioned the girl about Larry Feldman, a Los Angeles lawyer hired by the family in their case against Jackson. Feldman is the same man who, in 1993, won an out-of-court settlement of more than $20 million for Geordie Chandler. He's the boy who previously made molestation allegations against the singer.
How many times did you meet with attorney Larry Feldman?
Once.
And at some point he agreed to represent the whole family, true?
I don't know that.
Well, you knew that he had sued Michael Jackson in the early 90s, true?
I didn't know who he was. I
never discussed it with your mom?
Never.
All right. Will you agree that shortly after this recorded interview on February 16th, 2003, your family began meeting with lawyers?
No, it wasn't shortly after then, no.
How long after was it?
I don't know, but it was way after.
Way after. Like, how long do you think?
After March? I don't know.
Okay, but you met with Dickerman?
Once.
On Sunset?
I didn't meet with him. I just saw him there.
Okay, okay. And you think that that was after you left the Calabasas Inn, right?
I'm not sure.
The court was played a tape recording of an interview with the Arvizo family made by Michael Jackson's private investigator, Bradley Miller. It was made 10 days after the Martin Bashir documentary, where Jackson admits sleeping in the same bed as Gavin Arvizo. In it, the family heaps praise on Jackson, describing him as a father figure who took them in after years of abuse from their own father.
You would agree you heard your mother on many occasions encourage your brothers to go into the main house and spend time with Michael Jackson in the evening, right?
She wouldn't encourage them. She'd just see them happy. She wouldn't push them to go do it. They would go.
Well, you heard your mother...
I heard it, but I'm telling you what I know.
Okay. She would encourage your brothers to spend time with Michael Jackson at night because she wanted Michael to be the father figure in the family, right?
She never encouraged it. It's whatever the boys want. Whatever makes them happy, she's going to let them do.
Now, you said in the interview with Brad Miller, referring to Michael Jackson, He's a bigger father to all of us. He's given us safety. He's given us love. He's given us everything we've ever wanted. He's been our father figure. He's the only thing we know to be a father. You said that, right?
Yes.
And you meant it when you said it, didn't you?
At that point, I still liked Mr. Jackson. And that was the point that David had left, and I don't know. I was just latching onto something because I don't know what a description of a father is. I had 16 years of just abuse. I don't know what it is. I just latched onto something.
Davelin's younger brother, Star Arviso, who's 14, was 12 at the time Jackson is alleged to have molested Gavin at the Neverland Ranch. He is an important witness for the prosecution because he's said to have seen Jackson abusing his brother, who was asleep at the time. Prosecutor Tom Snedden began by asking him about the first time he met Jackson at Neverland.
The first time you ever met him, was that the first time?
Yes.
And what was he dressed like?
He had a red shirt on with black pants and tape over his nose.
And what?
Tape over his nose.
After this greeting, where did you guys go? What did you do? Did you talk to Mr. Jackson for a while?
He said we were going to drive some cars.
Did you do that?
Yes. We drove some golf carts.
Then Tom Snedden asked Star Arviso about one of the family's first visits to the Neverland Ranch. He and his brother Gavin were in Jackson's bedroom with one of the pop star's aides, Frank Tyson. He's a young man whom Jackson has known since he was a child.
Now, when you got upstairs and you're in the room, what happened then?
They were asleep on the bed, and Frank had a computer. It was a computer that Michael gave him the first time.
Gave who?
Gave Gavin.
Okay.
And this time, it already had internet access. So Frank did something, and the internet was on. And we started going on sites.
Going on sites?
Yes.
What kind of sites?
Pornography sites.
And where was Mr. Jackson during this time?
He was sitting right next to us.
Where were you seated?
On the bed.
And where was Mr. Tyson?
Typing.
Typing. Where was he located in the room?
Right off the bed and kneeled against the bed and...
Could you see the screen?
Yes.
Now, do you recall whose idea it was to go on the internet?
Michael's.
Do you recall what he said?
No, but while we were on one of those sites, a lady had her shirt up and Michael said, "Got milk?"
Jackson then turned to his young son, Prince Michael, who was asleep on the bed, and made a crude remark using a slang term for part of a woman's anatomy.
And then what did you guys do?
After all that, we started watching some Simpsons videos.
Okay, and then what?
And then Michael told us not to tell no one what we did.
I'm sorry?
He told us not to tell our parents what we did.
Who said that?
Michael.
Jackson also faces charges of giving alcohol to Gavin Arviso to get him drunk so he could molest him. Gavin's brother told how in Miami his brother was acting strangely after drinking from a soft drink can that appeared to contain a red liquid.
Later, did you notice anything unusual about your brother?
Probably.
Objection, leading, overruled. You may answer.
He was stumbling around.
Your brother?
Yes, and he had a soda can in his hand.
What else did you notice about your brother?
He wasn't acting right. He was acting funny.
Do you remember about what time of the day it was when all this was going on, when you saw your brother in this condition?
Nighttime.
Did you say anything to your mom about it?
No.
Did you know did you know why he was acting that way?
He walked over to me and he told me, well, I saw him to the brim of his soda.
Objection, non-responsive. Move to strike. Sustained, stricken.
I couldn't hear the court.
Sustained, stricken.
When your brother was in this condition, did he come over and talk to you at all?
Yes.
And when he did you observe anything?
Yes, I saw...
Tell us what you observed.
I saw I saw the brim of his 7-Up can. 7-Up's clear, and I saw red around the 7-Up can. It was like, it wasn't really dark red, but it was like light red. It was...
Did he say anything? Don't tell me what he said. Did he say anything to you at that time?
No, he was just like saying weird stuff. It didn't make sense.
And there was more evidence of drinking on the plane home, according to Starr. He said he and Gavin, who was suffering from cancer, were given wine to drink by Jackson.
Now, at any time when you were on the plane, did you see your brother and Mr. Jackson drinking anything?
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw Michael with the Diet Coke can and my brother with the Sprite can.
With the what kind?
I don't know exactly what brand it is, but it was a soda can.
Now, were you ever offered to drink out of either one of those cans?
Yes,
By whom?
by Michael.
And what did he say to you?
He leaned over and he handed it to me. I thought it was Diet Coke, so I didn't want to be rude, so I took a drink, and it tasted like the smell of, like, rubbing alcohol. It tasted really... So I handed it back to him, and I asked him what it was, and then he said it was wine.
Did you drink any more out of that can during this trip?
No.
Tell me what you saw your brother and Mr. Jackson doing during the trip.
I saw my brother... After a while, he didn't feel too good, so my brother leaned over on Michael's chest, and I saw Michael's head licking my brother's, the top of his head.
What do you mean?
He was just licking his head.
How long did that last?
I don't know, 6 seconds probably.
Did you notice any change in the behavior of Mr. Jackson during the flight?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Really weird.
What do you mean, really weird?
Like, just didn't make sense.
Who?
Michael and my brother.
Coming up next, more graphic allegations about life with Michael Jackson. Welcome back to our daily program, reconstructing the Michael Jackson trial. On the stand was Star Arvizo, the brother of Gavin, the boy who says Jackson molested him. Star told the court how Jackson liked to make what he called crank phone calls, telephoning people he didn't know by picking random phone numbers, and on one occasion making a crude remark down the line.
And tell us, when you made the crank calls, how did you pick the number?
Just dialed any number.
And when people picked up the phone, what was said?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what was said.
Did you ever make any of these calls?
I think so, yes.
What happened if nobody picked up on the other end of the line?
Michael would have us take a drink of wine.
Who would?
If the phone number didn't exist, we'd have to drink a drink of wine, or he'd have us drink wine.
Did you see alcohol in Mr. Jackson's bedroom?
Yes,
On how many occasions?
many occasions.
Where was it, usually?
Probably on the floor or around the dresser somewhere.
Do you remember how many particular occasions that the four of you did these crank calls? Was it on more than one night?
Yes.
Then Star Arvizo gave his startling account of seeing the pop superstar with no clothes on.
Do you recall that occasion when you were sitting on the bed and he walked into the room?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you saw.
Me and my brother were watching a movie, and Michael walked up naked. And he walked to the corner of the room, picked up something. Me and my brother were grossed out, and he sat on the bed and told us it was natural. And then he walked back downstairs.
Did either you or your brother say anything to him? Let me break it up, because I don't want to get a compound problem here. Did you say anything to him when he walked in?
I was just grossed out.
No, but did you say anything to him?
No.
Did brother say anything to him in your presence?
No.
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
The answer was?
No.
How long was it that Mr. Jackson was in the room with you and your brother naked?
Probably about 2 minutes.
Did you see anything else about Mr. Jackson at that time?
No.
When you say he was naked, what was he wearing, if anything?
Nothing.
Totally naked?
Yes.
So you could see his private parts?
Yes.
Did you see anything about his private parts, one way or the other?
At this point, the boy answered using an American slang term, indicating that Jackson was sexually aroused. Tellingly, he admitted it was not his own phrase, but that of the psychotherapist who interviewed him later. According to Star, pornography was not just available on the internet at Neverland.
Did you ever see that black suitcase that's been marked as People's 470 before? After that, after the time that you discussed...
Yes.
Where?
It was upstairs in his bed area.
Where?
Where his bed was.
And where in his bedroom?
Near the TV.
All right. And where were you?
What do you mean?
Where were you in the bedroom?
On the bed.
All right. Who was with you?
Aldo, my brother, and Michael.
And where was the suitcase located? I mean, how did you ever look at the suitcase, inside of it?
Yes.
What happened?
There was adult material in there.
All right. But how did it get opened?
Michael pulled it out.
All right. Tell us what he did.
He picked it up, sat on the bed, and opened it.
And then what?
He pulled the magazine out and started showing us.
How many magazines do you think you saw that time?
4, 3, I don't know.
Did you look through the entire magazines?
No, it was probably a section or something like that.
What did you see in the magazines?
Nude females.
What?
Nude females.
Do you remember the names of any of the titles of the magazines that you saw?
Barely Legal and Playboy.
Then, for the first time since the trial started, Jackson himself spoke. It was not the most startling remark, but it was his voice.
I think basically it's prejudicial and irrelevant.
All right, the probative value exceeds the prejudicial
I
effect.
can't hear.
It's admitted.
I can't hear you.
Your Honor, I think it's a little hard for Mr. Jackson to hear you.
Please speak up.
Yes, the probative value of Exhibit 86 exceeds any prejudicial effects, and so it's admitted.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Interruption over, Mr. Snedden took Starr through a series of photographs. Picture number 153 attracted special interest.
All right. Starr, would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what 153 is?
It's a mannequin.
And where was the mannequin located in the room when you saw it?
To the corner.
And with regard to this particular mannequin, did you ever see anything relative to the defendant in this case occur?
Yes.
Tell the ladies and the gentlemen of the jury what you saw.
One time he was jerking around and he grabbed the mannequin and he was pretending like he was having intercourse with it.
Starr Arvizo then described what happened during one occasion when Jackson was in bed with his brother.
And when we're looking straight at the bed towards the back of the wall, okay? Where were you located on the bed?
All the way to the right.
And where was your brother?
In the middle.
And were you under the covers?
Under the covers.
Over the covers?
Under the covers.
And how were you dressed?
In PJs.
Do these PJs describe them?
Sweatpants.
I'm sorry?
Sweatpants and a shirt.
All right. And do you recall what your brother was wearing?
Not really.
Now, did you see... tell us what happened.
I was sleeping. It was in the morning, and I saw Michael come up, and I tried to say hi, but I couldn't. He got in the bed, started scooting over closer and closer to my brother, and for a time he didn't stop until I moved, and then he stopped.
And what happened when he heard you move?
He stopped.
Okay. Did you see whether or not he did anything?
No.
Then Mr. Snedden asked Starr Arvizo about the first occasion he witnessed Jackson sexually molesting his brother in the singer's bedroom at the Neverland Ranch.
Let's go back. You were at the door, and the door what?
The door's kind of locked, so I pushed it, and it opened. So I went halfway to where the computer table used to be, and I saw it directly into the bed, and I stopped. And my brother was outside of the covers, and I saw Michael's left hand in my brother's underwears.
Now, at that time, could you see what the defendant was wearing?
Socks, underwears, and an undershirt.
Now, could you tell what kind of underwear it was?
No.
I mean, I'm sorry.
No.
With regard to your brother, what was he wearing?
I can't quite remember what he was wearing.
Do you remember what you could see of him? Was there part of him that he didn't have anything on?
Yeah, I know he had a shirt and he had his socks. I think he had pants or underwears on. I don't remember.
All right. Now, you said you saw his hand. Whose hands are you talking about?
Michael's.
All right. And where were his hands?
Left hand was in my brother's pants, and right hand was in his pants.
Star of ESO told the court that as Michael Jackson fondled his brother, the singer was also fondling himself.
Could you tell whether Mr. Jackson had his eyes open or closed?
He had his eyes closed.
Could you tell whether or not your brother was asleep or not?
He was asleep
How do you know that?
because he was kind of snoring.
I can't hear you. You're going to have to talk into that mic.
He was kind of snoring.
Now, on this particular occasion, how long did you stay there watching?
A couple seconds.
Well, how long is that?
4.
So what was your reaction to what you saw?
I didn't know what to do.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know what to do. I just went back to the guest units where my sister was sleeping.
What guest room did you stay in?
I don't remember, but my sister was sleeping in one guest room, and I went to the one that she was in.
That's it for this edition of the Michael Jackson trial. Tomorrow, Star of ESO will be back on the witness stand when he's likely to face cross-examination by Michael Jackson's attorney. But for now, from Santa Maria in California, goodbye.